From Forbes, GOP-led House Judiciary Committee opens investigation into Fani Willis. So I don't know what else you can ask for. I think they should subpoena her and immediately call her, like you said. It looks like they're just, once again, being like, we are going to be opening an inquiry into whether we should inquire about Fani Willis. Right. The Republican-led House Judiciary Committee launched an investigation into Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis as former President Donald Trump surrenders himself to authorities after Willis's office indicted him. We get it. This is Jim Jordan sent a strongly worded letter to Willis Thursday asking her to turn over information to the committee, writing her indictment of Trump and his allies involves substantial federal interests. The letter claims Willis's indictment appears to be an attempt to use state criminal law to regulate the conduct of federal officials acting in their official capacities, and raises whether Willis was coordinating with federal prosecutors in the Justice Department regarding her investigation. They got Trump on federal charges. They're going to go after his lawyers. The question is, will the Supreme Court intervene under this argument that Trump was acting in his official duties as a member of the executive branch, and thus they are interfering with the federal government? Supreme Court, I imagine, is going to say, get out of here with this, right? They have to quash it, or what?
I don't know. It's a strongly worded letter, though, so I'm sure everybody's quivering.
Oh,
I'm sorry. It cracks me.
I mean, panic ensues as soon as you send a
strongly worded letter. I mean, I'm sure that she's laughing and probably passing around the office. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Check out the letter. He sent me a letter.
It's not even a subpoena. They're putting Bannon in jail for a subpoena. Yeah. And this is all they can muster up.
Exactly. So he's being arrested. She gets a letter. They don't quite equate, do they? I mean, it's frustrating. You were talking, I believe, earlier today about leftist tactics. Oh, yeah. Especially within the riot. And that was making me think of something because my friend Mark, show partner, he grew up in that ilk and he kind of switched parties over time. And he's like, you need to follow leftist tactics because they are effective.
Yep.
And he's like, why the hell don't Republicans do it? And I understand the conservative mindset. Well, it's not dignified. And that's the problem, is the conservatives are like, that's unseemly.
Meanwhile, Democrats are taking dumps in the streets in San Francisco.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And Republicans are like, oh, well, I never. And then they're like, as the crackpots take a dump right in the middle of the street, they're like, we should arrest that guy. And then all of a sudden the cops show up at your house and you're like, oh, how could you arrest me? I've done nothing. And that's Republicans for you. They should, honestly, I would like it if every single Republican was arrested. Just every single one of them. Just there you go. And it's just like, oh, maybe now you'll do something.
Be harder for them to do something, I think. But I know what you mean. I think there is a lot of like, we shouldn't stoop to their level. We have the moral high ground. On the other hand, it's really hard to defend the moral high ground when you are actively losing territory
jail.
on every other front. You are ceding power. So we have to have a reconciliation somewhere.
No, well, you've got to have ground to hold any high ground. I mean, there is no ground. If they're like, okay, cool. And then they just push them over. And, you brought that up very poignantly about the tactics, things of that sort.
I mean, the leftist tactics are advanced. Conservative, right-wing, libertarian, et cetera, just non-existent. The left does stuff like optics. They understand optics. So they'll get one of their quote-unquote journalists. A video will come out showing a cop beating some guy, and they'll be like, help, help, police brutality. And what the video won't show you is the guy punching the cop first, because the person filming it will edit that out specifically to create propaganda. And they refer to themselves in the activist community not as journalists, but as propagandists. Then publicly, they'll say they're a journalist to cover themselves because, what was it, Vosh who said he'll do anything to win or something like that?
Yeah, he's essentially, his philosophy is a consequentialist. So essentially the philosophy boils down to, and this is just a wave tops kind of idea, but it boils down to the results are what really matter. So how you get there doesn't. That's part of why and socialists tend to have that philosophy a lot because it's how they deal with the horrors of socialism. They're like, well, once we get to the socialist utopia, the millions and piles of dead don't matter because then no one else will die because of whatever the failings of capitalism that they're,
because our cult has established its goal.
Except what happens is once they use these evil tactics to gain power, they fear someone else using these tactics to gain power. So they maintain an authoritarian regime, which they were once fighting against. They just become the new authoritarian regime and they get mad when you point it out.
Well, because they know that what they just did yesterday, somebody's going to do to them.
Exactly.
Because they know the same tactics.
Yep.
So, it's a good survival mechanism.
The system overall doesn't work. It's low trust. People don't get thrown into prison for nothing. People use the government to remove their rivals that are just in business. Or if someone's got a nicer office than you, and you can call the government and be like, yo, he was saying things that are against the party, and the party comes and picks him up, and next thing you know, you get the job now. I mean, that kind of stuff happened all the time, all over the Eastern Bloc countries in when the Soviet Union was, or when it was communist countries, when they were all satellites of the Soviet Union.
I don't know, man. The reason there's a fighting chance is only because, and I'm not trying to rag on conservatives, but it's only because dissidents from the left have switched sides. Art, culture, and organizational prowess are coming greatly from people who used to be liberals and left, who are now fed up and working with conservatives. With all due respect, Ben Shapiro is still a rather stodgy dude, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy in a suit who's very, preppy, I guess. The way we would describe it in schools. And I mean that with all due respect. Like, he's a proper, clean-cut, well-mannered man. But that's the people like, I don't know, Phil, you're a rock star. You know what people are into, right?
I mean, some.
Yeah, but they like, people want some freedom. They want some entertainment. They want some edge. They want some punk rock. And now that, like, what was it, Johnny Rotten?
Yeah, literally, John Lydon is right wing,
and he's like, it's the left that have become insufferable twats.
Yeah, and you're starting to see people in the more edgy kind of genres of music and stuff like that starting to push back. You see, like the guys in the Defiant.
Oh, that's great, the Defiant.
And people were talking about Ronnie Radke and Tommy Vexed, who pushes back against that kind of stuff. I've been pushing back against this kind of stuff forever. And it's falling out of favor. People don't want to be told how they have to interact with everyone they come into contact with. They want to know, they want to be like, look, I'm going to be polite and I'm going to try to be nice and I want to get along with people. But if someone mispronounces a word or says the wrong word or says something that's newly insensitive, they don't want to have to worry about losing their job. They don't want to have to worry about the repercussions. They don't want to have to worry about being debanked. And these are real things now. Obviously, the people that get debanked are the people that really push back against the narrative and stuff. But it's only a certain amount. It's only for so long, because as that type of tactic becomes something that works, it happens more. People will do it more. And if the government if they see that it works, the government will get into the business of it. Social credit scores will come here. They are currently they're in China right now. That is a real threat.
They're here now. It's just being controlled by private entities. Look at PayPal.
Right. Yeah, to some degree, yeah.
Well, no, it doesn't matter. It's a weird situation, but people are like, oh, well, we're going to worry about the corporation and things like that. Well, the corporations are driving this. You have PayPal, who is literally doing a social credit score and taking people's money. And then as far as punk rock, well, punk rock is against authority. So who's in authority right now?
Right.
So punk rock is going to be obviously right wing if left wing is in authority.
Left wing, liberal establishment, neocons, etc. Yeah, and it's not even about. This is a funny thing. The left will immediately say, "You're claiming that conservative Christians who are wearing suit are punk rock." No. We're saying that anybody who's truly punk rock, who would say, I don't know, wasn't it Sid Vicious who wore a swastika t-shirt? Yeah, that would not fly with neolibs, with the liberal and left establishment. They'd lose their minds if someone dared do that. Punk rock was intending to offend you. And so now these hall monitor types, deeply offended by naughty words, they're the antithesis of punk rock. That's like the funniest thing. It's like, I'll give a shout out to Hassan Piker, who is like, it's funny because he is more what's the right word for Ben Shapiro, right? What's
Nerd.
the word? Nerd? No. I'm talking about a guy who is clean cut, well mannered.
Button up.
Hassan is 10 times more stodgy and buttoned up than Ben Shapiro is. There is this veneer among the left of being edgy, but they're marching around chanting Amazon.com slogans and Walmart slogans and it's just like, we have this, I just absolutely love Hassan calling Ian Crossland a conservative. That just right there shows you that it is a thin veneer of grifting. Bro, any reasonable person, leftists, for instance, they call Ian Moonlord because they know he's a hippy dippy crystal weirdo and he rags on Trump all the time. Who in their right mind would call this guy conservative unless you're a grifter just saying whatever you think you need to say to earn internet points?
Or you're a tribe and you're a cult. Because if you're in a cult, if anybody strays from the cult or tribal narrative, they're gone.
Yeah, but
And it only takes one
even
infraction.
among woke leftists, they call Ian Moonlord, right? They like these socialists who are very woke are like, yeah, Ian's not a conservative. He's a weirdo. He's a hippie weirdo. They call him Moonlord. They laugh about it, and they like sometimes when he yells at Trump and stuff. Hassan is just, I'm gonna say whatever, if you're A, I'm B. I'm just gonna say whatever I think people are gonna click on. He is as establishment can be. He's the dude in high school wearing the Letterman jacket, pushing around the nerds.
Hassan's got some serious audience captor. He is terrified of his chat. His chat runs him like mad. If he says something the chat doesn't like, the chat will let him know, and he will quickly evolve what he's saying.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.